Hello, everybody, and indeed, welcome to another edition of In the Green Room with Chicago Tony V. I finally got a chance to spend some time with two guys that I respect and admire. These are the creators of the We Have Issues podcast, Anthony and Stevie. It was my great pleasure to have them in the green room. I hope you enjoy. Everybody, it's my sincere pleasure to welcome to the green room Anthony and Stevie. Big fan, you guys. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. We're a big fan of you too. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That's nice of you to say. And I want you to know, and this is actually sadly more true than you would ever guess, but this will be a feather in your cap. Okay, so this thing inside the green room, when I decided I had to start doing this type of segment, it was because I'm such a big fan of the We Have Issues podcast, and I could not stand not having you guys on my show.
Oh.
So you were actually the impetus
Steven, high five.
Steven,
high
I love it.
So, okay. Sorry,
yeah.
No, that was amazing. It's meant a lot to us to hear you to hear anyone talk about your show is just always incredible. Like Steve and I, we kind of just geek out together because we're just best friends. So we just message each other. We're just I can't believe people listen to this, let alone talk about it on a show that they also have. So it's really amazing for us, and it's I don't know.
I know what you're saying. That's happened to me a few times, and especially I think Anthony, when you don't see it coming, when you're just listening to a show and then they mention your show kind of out of the blue. It's really something for sure. Yeah. I think there's something about your show specifically, you guys, and I'm dying to know. Honestly, from my perspective, sometimes I think honestly, why do I love We Have Issues so much? I'm kind of a nut job over here. And
we don't know either.
I mean, I have some idea.
We don't know what we're talking about. So we have no idea. We don't know what we're doing. We just wing it every week. I yell at Steven. I'm like, Steven, give me gold. And he doesn't. And then I have to keep yelling. And it's just bad every week. That's why we edit so heavily. And I look up to you so much. I admire the fact that you don't edit, most of your shows or if any of your shows, and it's impressive to watch you live on Reddit and stuff. Yeah. Because I yell at Steven behind the scenes. I scream. I say things that no one should ever hear. I have a child, and he has heard some words. So yeah, I just whip Steven into shape. I just shake him.
He's a sweetheart. He's lying. He's completely lying.
No, Steven is just a piggy bank, and I'm just picking him up and shaking him until those pennies fall out. I would like some quarters from you, Steven. But
I knew it was going to be herding cats with you guys. You youngsters that have so much more energy than I do. But thank you for the kind words, Anthony. But all right, getting to kind of my theory about why I love your show so much. I think one of the things that makes We Have Issues kind of unique is, and I'm assuming this is on purpose, and I want to get into this, but what you guys did is you gave us the podcast is. You gave us a target. You gave us a goal that you guys were working toward. And so, somehow we got invested along the way. Was this planned? What was the idea to start the We Have Issues podcast?
Yeah, it was the opposite. We basically are horrible at keeping ourselves, namely me. I'm horrible at keeping myself accountable and keeping these pages pumping out and stuff. So Anthony came up with this idea to have a weekly podcast. That way we would have to report to something every week and basically own up to where we failed, where we succeeded. And it basically just kept us in check and kept us going. And our friendship just, people wanted to follow along the way. And we've just, trust me, it blows our mind just as much. I think we're up to 315 subs on YouTube now. And it's just insane that we're that high. It doesn't even make any sense that we have this many weekly listeners. And it's just so great.
I was going to say that I've always felt the real story, right? The real story that we're watching is your friendship. And it's like gold. So almost in a way, what's so beautiful about that and the way you've set things up is It's like I don't care what you guys are doing, what lame brain project you guys pick up next. It's like I want to see Anthony and Stevie and see how the friendship is going. And so it's this brilliant way. It's like if Play It Again crashes and burns, which in a way it can't now because it's already paid for, right? I mean, it's
already
like it's a done deal. So so you set it up to keep yourselves honest, it sounds like.
Well,
That's
it was kind
basically
of
it, because Anthony's a genius.
No. See, what it was I needed a Santa Claus. Like, I needed another parent. Like, if you have two parents, you can always blame the other parent for being mean. And be like, oh my gosh, like I know you have to eat broccoli, but like it's her. I don't want you to eat broccoli. She has to do it. But when it's just Steven and I need him to be accountable, I look like a jerk all the time because I'm like, Steven, get those pages done. But with the podcast, I can be like, Steven, it's not me, it's the Santa Claus of the podcast. Like, you have to get it done or we're going to get coal instead of, like, beautiful presents. You know? So I was like, we need a Santa Claus, which is just, like, this jolly thing that we're going to also use to hold us accountable to the parent. And I'm just saying that I'm in love with the podcast because it's helping keep Steven in check, and I also don't have to look like a villain ever again.
Yeah, like what I'm basically hearing is that you have absolutely no faith in me, or don't have any desire to iron me yourself, but to keep me accountable through our various fans and people we meet along the way.
I have to manipulate you, Steven. You're just a puppet.
Well, because you know me, but I mean, it's true. Like I will run over all of my friends, but I will be the kindest person to any stranger for absolutely no reason. So Anthony's basically just playing me well.
Stevie, this is why you need a legal team down the road, man. Don't do any of your own negotiations. That's just a little free advice from an old guy that's been around the block, you know. So fellas, I think what I'm hearing is some of what's happened is kind of a happy accident. Like do you feel in hindsight like just this all came together and there's just kind of some magic to it?
Steven. Okay. We won't take each other's name.
I'm just trying to give you the benefit of it. I'm giving you the benefit of the delay. I'm just like not trying to take it from you.
So in reality, the origin of the podcast was I was working on my own comic book because Steven was, he had his whole family he was going toward, and I began focusing on my own comic book, and I was going to make a podcast just to show how difficult it was for me to try to do it by myself, and it was going to be called I Have Issues. But I figured that I didn't have the chutzpah that you do to do it all by myself and just stare at a camera and talk. And I wanted someone to be able to work with me, and the only person I could imagine to do it was Steven. But I couldn't drag Steven into talking about my comic book because that would be uncomfortable. So I had been working on this short story idea just while I was at work for fun, and I just pitched it to Steven the way we pitched ideas on the comic. I just talked to Steven. I was like, hey, what if we did this thing? And there's there's a record player, and I put on a record, and I'm doing this, and it's kind of about my life, but kind of not, it also has sci-fi and fantasy in it. And Steven was like, he is a sucker, and he was like, I'm in. So so he agreed to do it. So, and now he's stuck with me for life, and we get to do this again. And I'm sorry, Tina, Steven's wife. He's mine now. No, but basically, so I knew that creating a podcast would be a fun idea. It was something that Steve and I talked about on the podcast a lot. It's something that we enjoy seeing. We really like we like seeing the behind the scenes. I like to see Penn and Teller do their disappearing ball trick with the clear cups. I like to watch the magic as it happens and also appreciate the trick. So it's a lot. It's been a lot of fun to give that to other people. Just the thing that we want to do. What I didn't expect, but I think one of the biggest surprises for me was I forget while we're talking that other people will see it. So I just talk to Steven because he's my best friend. And I just happen to talk about my dating life and just about what I've been through, and we talk and we tell stories. And after the fact, when I become when future Anthony has to edit the podcast and I have to make the decision whether or not I delete those parts of the story, I just decide to let them in because I would rather someone be authentic and vulnerable when I'm watching the story. So I just leave it in and I hope for the best. And so far, we've been talking about, people have reacted and they've connected to us in some way, and I love it, and so that part's been really surprising. I didn't expect anyone to ever be invested in my dating.
Right. I love it. I mean, honestly, you guys are kind of like me in that you're the product in an interesting way. You're the characters. You're the character. You're creating characters, but you guys specifically are the characters. So, Steven, do you feel like there are things that you're good at, and maybe Anthony is better at other things? In other words, are you guys kind of like an opposites attract effect, like a married couple?
I actually even like drew this one time. Like I call us Meat and Bones. Like I don't know if I've ever shared that with Anthony, but I actually have like a Meat and Bones like logo. So like, and this even comes down to, like, our songwriting and things like that. Anthony is so good at like roughing out the big picture, and I'm so good at like finding out the details in between, and when we come together it just works so well. Like Anthony's such a great storyteller and such an amazing, like, just the way he can think and the way he can like put everything together is like, it's just like his talent. I can't see, like, in fact, that mass idea that I pitched, when I was pitching it to Anthony on the side, I'm like, man, I just have all these cool scenes I want to do, and these are like the characters. If you can kind of figure out like the where this all needs to go, but these are some sequences I think are cool and stuff like that. So like I'm really good at like finding those like moments and those caveats like in those areas, but like I don't really build the spinal cord, if you will, you know?
Yeah.
And he's great at that. That's definitely his strength, you know?
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that as a fan, right? Because it it didn't take me long, and I can't be the only one out there, but I sort of, sometimes when I'm watching you guys do what you do, you start to feel like, oh man, I hope Yoko Ono never breaks up the Beatles. You know, like you guys are a package. So Anthony, I hope you hear what Steven is saying, and I want you to get in touch with. He has strengths that help you out, and vice versa. So Anthony, getting back to your love life, I'm curious to know, do you, obviously, that's where you guys are really quite different. Like Steven has, this beautiful family. That's good. Do you ever look at Steven, Anthony, that part of Steven's life, and just think, oh man, what am I doing wrong?
No, I don't think what am I doing wrong.
Yeah.
I know he and Tina well enough. I've seen things, Tony. I know their relationship. I know the inner workings of this beautiful marriage. No, but I know them so well.
It's a sham. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so what you're going to find out is that there is no Tina. Tina is just, it's a CG creature that we spent a long time developing. It's a character that I wrote and I'm proud of. So I don't ever look at them and think, like, what am I doing wrong? I just love them. Like, I'm happy for Steven. I think the reason I'm allowed to make jokes about Steven's happiness and how miserable I am is because I am just genuinely happy for him, and he knows that. You know, like, otherwise I don't think that dichotomy, I don't think that like relationship would work as well if I was actually upset with him, you know, or like really jealous. It's just, you know, like it's all a joke. Like, I know I've been through stuff. But he knows everything I've been through, you know, so it's just fun that we can play off each other that way.
And honestly, Tony, there was a lull in. Tina and I often compare ourselves to Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother, and it's funny because we literally had like a very similar situation where they split up in the first season, and Tina had broken up with me back in like 2013 for like 4 months, and Anthony was like at that point Anthony was in a good relationship, and he was basically my like guru, like guiding me through like this traumatic moment. So like he's been there for me in the same situation. I mean, obviously my story came full circle with Tina and everything worked out.
What I'm saying is, what Steven's trying to explain is that I'm a better Sherpa than Steven is. Like, I am good at getting people to where they need to be. And Steven saw me. He was like, you want to get to the top of this mountain, buddy? I got you. And then he put his foot on my face. He was like, you stay down there.
I didn't put it on his face. I just lead him down paths that I can't go. I want to see what happens when he goes down there.
Steven, what I loved about Tina, I mean, so it was fun to see, you know, she talked about, you know, she believes in you guys, and she's like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to work out. I loved how she was just like, if anyone slips into your DMs and she's like ready. She was ready to throw down. I was already a fan of Tina during that episode, but once she went there, I was just like, oh, I love this person.
No, it's so funny.
She is absolutely it's so great. She's always like that too. Like, I mean, like, whenever it's just a joke. She's not like, controlling or anything, but like she'll always make jokes. Like, I'll take Cammy to the store and be like, you should have seen all the moms that were checking. I was walking with the kid, blah blah blah. Oh no, Anthony disappeared. But yeah, she's very funny with that stuff. Anthony, what were you gonna say about the way she behaves with other women?
I was gonna say, but like to that effect, I've had people who enjoy our podcast, who are friendly with me on Twitter, contact me and say like, oh, I would love to talk to Steven because like I'm such a big fan, but I'm afraid of Tina. Like I've had people tell me that they're like, I'm not going over there. Like, yeah, so I think that's hilarious because like people are legitimately scared, as they should be, because Tina's not kidding. Steven's trying to just like play safe. Tina's dead serious about cutting you, and she will. She is. Yeah.
Well, I love that you mentioned fan interaction, because that's kind of a perfect segue to something that was on my mind today specifically. I've been just working on Chicago Tony V Enterprises all day today. I'm sure you guys do a lot of this stuff too. It's like, you're on shows like this, and you're just there's all this work behind the scenes. Yeah.
Listen, I fold them on. I don't fold them on.
I was on a conference call, you guys, for podcasters today, and they were talking about how to build a fan base and all this stuff. And it was like this. It was a roundabout, and everyone was kind of telling their stories. And what I realized, by the time it came around to me, I realized like I'm going about this apparently totally different from anyone else, because like today, by the time I had that conference call, I had already had like 4 different phone calls, private phone calls with fans. I'd had who knows how many DMs and some emails and all this stuff. And by the time it came around to me, I was like, you guys don't call your fans? Like, what the hell? You don't have each other's phone numbers?
There's no interaction. It makes me...
Yeah. But to bring it kind of full circle to you guys, again, as a fan, one of my early frustrations, and I think I even did a video about it, and mostly it's because I'm old and I'm not that smart. But it's like I wanted more from you guys. I wanted to know. I wanted to, see you guys drawing. I wanted to learn more about the history of the. Have you guys ever thought, like, what are you doing? Have you thought about specifically your fan interactions, and are there things you're trying or ideas you have to kind of maybe change that up? Anthony, let's start with you.
Well, I have noticed, I just accidentally, through the way I interact with people on Twitter, we do gain a lot of listeners and viewers just from individual interactions, so it's, I mean, I have no experience with trying to market. I don't have any kind of positive experiences with trying to use like ads on Facebook or anything like that. Everything I've done has kind of been like null and void. It seems to kind of just even out to nothing for us. Like it's kind of a waste of, it's been a waste of money for us personally, at least. But what I have noticed that works the most, or has worked for us, is just being ourselves like we are on the podcast and interacting with people one-on-one. That just, it's just like fishing, for people just one by one. We can't really cast a bigger net than we have at our disposal, and like, unfortunately / fortunately, our net is just the length of our arms, and like, we, just embracing whoever's gonna listen, basically. So, and
we're just hugging everybody.
It's what we do, and we're not supposed to. We're like, within 6 feet, we're like air hugs, but like, no, it's
we're virtual hugging.
Steven, have you done stuff? Have you ever experimented with while you're making your artwork? Have you ever tried to like live stream while you're doing it and just?
I guess I never thought that I could probably do that. I don't really have any. Where can I live stream? Twitch, yeah.
Twitch. We have a Twitch account, so I'll give you the information.
We could live stream from the YouTube too, right?
Yeah, we could.
We could if we wanted to.
Yeah,
Well, you guys are talking. you guys are talking to a Hall of Famer Reddit live streamer. Hello.
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
Oh man, I do want to ask you about that a little bit because that's pretty. It's incredible to see that. Yeah, I mean, like
let it rip. What do you want to know?
Oh, well, I'm not usually able to catch it. Like, I've never been able to catch it live because I have my son, and he's always doing school. Like, at that time, I'm getting him ready for breakfast and, all that stuff. But I have watched, especially early on, I watched a few episodes when we first met via Reddit, before I caught wind of your YouTube and stuff. But I would go to Reddit and I would see, just after the fact, I would see all of the comments and I would see the amount of viewers and the fact that people were actually watching. And I had no idea that community even existed. So, and I still, to this day, I'm like, I'm terrified of Reddit. Like, it's very brave of you to step forward. I've never had to deal with trolls. I'm like doing this live. I'm like, it's already kind of like nerve-wracking for me. Like, I can't imagine going on Reddit where people can basically just say whatever they want to you and you have to see it and you see what they're saying live. Maybe if I didn't see it, like if people were talking about us right now, it'd be fine. I could still just be myself. But I can just imagine like the "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Like what would happen to my body if I read some of those comments? And I'd be like, what happened to Anthony's soul? Oh, apparently it's gone. It's in his shoes now. Like he's dead inside, and you can see it. And now he's gonna.
Oh, that's funny.
So I don't know. So it's kind of amazing to see that you do have mostly positive interactions on Reddit. I've noticed, like there are like the occasional like trolls that come in and just kind of like poke at you, and then I've noticed like at least recently your fans will like jump on them a bit and say get them out of there, which is really cool. I love that you have
totally
like Chief Afa and like you have all these like Georgie Girl. You have all these people who are just you're cultivating these characters in a fun way that I appreciate from other podcasts that like I've always been a fan of. So I like the fact that I don't know any of these people, but hearing their names over and over, they're becoming like these myths to me. Like I don't know Chief Afa, but like I've heard his name so many times now, and like I've heard like some of these names so many times, and I'm like those are characters, and then once they're gone or like if they disappear for a while, I'll wonder why or what happened, and so like I have curiosities now thanks to you and Reddit. But yeah, so I don't know. So how does that work for you? And like how did you discover that? And like have you found how do you feel about like the difference between like YouTube cultivating an audience and Reddit and like cultivating an audience there, and like how do you translate those? Like isn't that interesting? I don't it's funny how you find an audience in one specific place.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Right. I think I actually think it's like one of the most undiscovered gold mines. Honestly, I'll let you in on a peek in behind the scenes, right? So I was sitting around here before this interview we're doing right now, and I had a bunch of time on my hands, and I just thought, well, I'm just gonna hop on Reddit. So I did a live stream, totally out of character. Mine is always 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but every once in a while I will do that. And so if you're looking for a little education, Anthony, you should go dig into Reddit sometime when you have some free time and go look at the live stream that I did just a little bit ago, because a couple things were very interesting. One is it was none of my regular viewers. I didn't recognize a single name in the comments, but what's fascinating is they all knew me. They knew me. I just thought I was going to flip on, and I thought I was just going to get trolls, right? And just like have some fun dealing with trolls, But they seemed to know me, and they even knew my name. I didn't have any graphics up there. My Reddit account doesn't say Chicago Tony or anything. They knew who I was. They knew they could call in. So it was all very interesting. And then there was one person in that live stream that I just did who commented, he or she, I don't know who they are, said, you work with trolls beautifully, like you do a great job. And this person said, I live stream and I've studied the way you deal with these people.
And I
just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it's for me, I think it's been critical, you guys. And I've always envisioned a Reddit live stream would be something you could do just as you're doing your artwork. Like I envision Stevie, working on his panels. Why not have a camera there? And people, let's face it, like this. Here's what I was competing against, right? When I just flipped on, when I put on the rose-colored glasses and did my little tap dance. I mean, I'm competing against people, some guy, whatever, making oatmeal, some lady crocheting a blanket. I mean, the bar is pretty low, and when you flip on Reddit, and you're actually doing something that's unique, and you're kind of professional about it, it's like, honestly, people just think, thank God. And so I envision, Stevie sitting there doing his art and just interacting with the live stream. And I'll bet you, for all this time you're spending doing panels every day, you could also come away with it with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people that were pleased as punch that you interacted with them a little bit while you were doing your thing.
True that.
Yeah, it's Reddit to me is like it's you're just fishing for fans. That's all you're doing. You're just casting your net out there. I think
we're the type to just like them. I mean, we just like people anyway. So like, if anyone wants to become a fan, they're basically just becoming a friend anyway. So
I think that's so funny because like I almost never use the word fan. Like Steve and I occasionally will say fan, like, but mostly it's just listeners or friends. But like I totally get it. I understand how they are fans. That's what a fan is. But for some reason, I think it's just me and having just like my brain won't let me believe that people are fans or like there's any sort of fanaticism or it's just like people just listen sometimes out of I don't know, guilt.
Anthony.
People just.
The fans are here for you. You tell me, but it's just you're just fluffing me, man. You're just keeping me on the hook. Like the fans are here for your beautiful single dad face. Listen, our audience isn't 60 to 70% women.
Steven,
because of a married man with 2 kids who looks like Bro Thor from Endgame.
no, like you are beautiful, Thor, and you know it. Steven, this is... I don't even know what you're talking about right now, okay? I have said some ridiculous things. You knock it off. You stop it. You lock it up. You know what this is. What Steven's doing right now is he knows that I can't edit out the things that he's saying. He says all of this stuff every week.
Every week, just hoping it makes the cut. Never does.
Steven says this stuff to me, and I love him. He's the kindest person. But if you watch our podcast, you'll see that none of it makes it in. None of that makes it to the final cut. I just right out of there. Like that is not part of the. So anyway, what were we talking about? Ooh, Lost Boys. So back to that. Don't release backstab.
Yes, but you're right. You are people, and this is why again I just like from thinking strategically. I just think it's like. The more you can find ways to actually interact with people, let them in and have some interactions. I think there's a sea of people that are just dying for, some sort of interaction.
I think that I've heard it used in the writing community called like imposter syndrome, and like I genuinely feel that way about my art sometimes. Like I almost don't want to like live stream because I don't want to make people think that I think I'm a comic artist or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm not like deserving
comic artist.
of that title.
You're talking about, though. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying though? Yeah. Like so like I feel like
that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
It just makes me feel weird.
So yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it makes me feel, I'm not a guru on this. I'm not.
Do people really want to watch me fumble around the keyboard until I figure out what an E is? I'm like, I got it.
Yeah, yes. I guess they do.
You guys might know this. There's something. It's like Be Happy. I don't know if it's Don't Worry, Be Happy or whatever, but it's stick figures, and like you see them like on Jeep covers, tire covers, and T-shirts and stuff. Anyway, my point is. Steven, it's like first of all, there's a graphic novella that's already paid for, which means you are a comic book artist, and life's too short. I mean, take it from an old guy, right? I'm on the back nine. I can see the clubhouse coming in, and so what am I doing? Pedal to the freaking metal because life's too short. I'm gonna take the Chicago Tony V show and just crash it into turn 2 at the Indy 500. I'm going to go so fast. I am going to crash and burn. It's going to be just this amazing thing. And that's what you guys should do as well. Here's a question, though. Have you noticed, once you achieved your Kickstarter goal, Anthony, I'll go back to you. Have you noticed, like, has there been a bit of a lull for you guys? Like, you achieved that milestone. Has there been a little bit of, like, oh, now what?
Well, for me, it's been like, it's a lot of pressure to finish the book and finish the musical. And then what ended up happening was the musical part of it, because of the ridiculous success of the Kickstarter, the musical part of it was able to kind of kick off. So for me, instead of getting the lull of like, oh man, that's like I accomplished that, I got like just like a tsunami of fear where I was like, now I have to write a musical? I didn't expect to have to write a musical. What are they doing to me?
Yeah.
You know, like I know I've been saying this for months, but I was also pretty sure that I was not going to work out. At least I know, like I always knew the book was going to work out. I didn't expect it to work out so well that we could also afford to have our own record pressed. Like that part of it kind of forces us, or at least like Steven and I, forces our hands and makes us want it to be as good as it could possibly be, which is good for us, because otherwise we would have just like kind of rushed through the music a little, I think, and like we would have just been like, we want to work in the next book, because that's where like our hearts were initially. But now I've been working on this musical, and it's just like this new hill to climb. It's this new boulder that I'm pushing up, you know, and then like once I'm done with that, I'll watch it roll down, and then honestly, I am pretty good with like just seeing the next thing to do, so I don't really feel those lulls. I honestly just like making stuff. I think that's like I've always just been that way, where I like telling stories. I don't really care what the story is. I was happy to work on this. I would have been happy no matter what won our poll when we talked about the next idea, you know, because it's just like I love working on projects and making stuff with Steven. However, I would love for any of them to be successful enough for us to be able to quit our day jobs. That's really like, that's the pie in the sky like dream for me. Once that happens, maybe I'll hit that weird thing that celebrities, you know, that like plateau that happens where it's like, well, where's my next happiness come from? Because now I'm just in heaven, you know, like I can't, if I don't have to go to work, I can literally just write silly stories forever. That's all I really want. I actually posted on Twitter today where I was like, If Shudder would just pay me $15 an hour to write movies, I'd do it for $15 an hour. Like, I would rather be writing movies for $15 an hour than helping some old lady find glitter, you know? So it's like, I understand, like, I don't mean to be a scab for screenwriters, but like, if you're out there and you're looking for someone to write a vampire movie, just let me know. I'm in a craft store. Yeah, I'm in a craft store right now, and I see the undead walking all day. I can help you out with your movies. But anyway, so.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, now getting back to the musical part a little bit. I mean, so I have a little bit of a musical background, and it's like, you know, and I've been in a recording studio here and there, and but it's funny, when you guys said, yeah, we're doing a musical too, I just thought, oh man, like they've got a lot of work ahead of them. Maybe it's because I don't understand at all what it takes to make the book, and maybe I'm downplaying that, but I do understand how hard it is to record stuff. Steven, how's the artwork coming? Where are you at now in finishing up the book?
I am on pages 25 and 26, so 1 through 24 are completely, and then technically I might have to add Anthony and his son in the last one, but the first page of the comic I actually already finished the last page, because the first and last page are the same page, except the first page is a thunderstorm and the last page is like a sunny day. So I basically have the last page done too, so I essentially have 25 done, and I think there's 36 pages total, 37, somewhere around there.
Wow.
So I'm basically almost done with the artwork, which is really awesome. And it's been, yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like for example, Anthony is forging ahead, you know, and he's like doing what he's doing with the writing and stuff, and then, but once again, it's gonna get kicked to me too, like, but like, so like, on the music side of things, I've been investing a lot of money into some stuff. Obviously, I got this new microphone, it's an RE320. It's really sweet. I actually did some mic tests on it already. I already have like an iMac going with I have studio monitors. I have my audio interface. Anthony, I've been like recording for fun for a while, and then I also have Connect. Someone I met. He actually used to play bass for Eddie Money on tour, but he's a good friend of mine, and he's going to help us mix. And he 4 years sound engineering in California. I mean, he knows what he's doing. So we have him some of the mix. So he said, and he'll even tell me, he goes, you can send me recordings, and like I'll let you know if I need some more. He's already like, I got this thing right here. I don't know. I always hold things up on the hand.
Yeah, why not?
But it's called a Cloud Lifter. And so that's gonna be, that adds up to 24 decibels of gain from the mic. So I already have this amazing mic, but I have all these other things I can add on to it. I got my MIDI keyboard, and I got all my instruments too. So
I've always loved your guitar wall, Stevie. It's very impressive.
It's a green screen,
and I love. Anytime you want to talk to someone, you want to bounce an idea, you want to talk to someone who is always going to say, yes, you're doing the right thing when you're buying new equipment, that just look me up. If you need justification, sure. That's my, I'm like, what I'm working on next is I'm going to totally duplicate this studio at home.
Cool.
So I'm just going to double down. It's already stupid and ridiculous, but now I want to be able, wherever I'm at, I want to just basically be able to flip a switch and talk, just grace my fans with my presence, give them a couple of thoughts to make their day.
Did you guys know that Prince could could record music anywhere in his house? He could record in the bathroom if he wanted to. Yeah, Prince had it set up.
I'm not surprised.
It doesn't set up in his house where he could literally. So I guess there are just like years worth of recordings because like it was like almost always recording, and he just be coming up with stuff. So it's just there should be a documentary about it because it sounds amazing. Like I'm sure there's so many cool things. But anyway, that was just a fun little Prince tidbit. That's what it sounds like when my dog.
I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
He's such a talented dude.
Do you guys have Anthony? Do you like if I pressed you to say, okay, what's going to be the finish date for the project? What do you think we're looking at?
Well, our plan. What did we say? Like August, late August. That was our plan, right? Something like that.
That way we can get stuff printed and cut and whatever needs to be done.
That's for the book and everything. We tried. That's why if you look at the Kickstarter, we gave ourselves until November just because we wanted, because our podcast is We Have Issues. That we're both parents. We have lives to work on. We really only work on this. Steven wakes up early in the morning just to get a little bit of pages done. I stay up until 2:00 in the morning pretending I'm writing a musical. So it's this whole thing. But we're working really hard. We plan on trying to get it done with at least a few months before shipping it off in November. So we at least I think August, right?
We're overly cautious by nature. I mean, this is what we are. That's why we didn't even launch a Kickstarter until we were like halfway done with the art, because we didn't even want. I mean, a lot of people they'll start these comic Kickstarters. They haven't even started yet. Maybe they have like a cover page or something like that. There's not even one page done. We made sure to start it like up. So like, and also when it's going to come to the coloring, because I'm scanning in just pencils and we're not really inking, and I'm doing a lot of shading with the pencils, we actually avoid a lot of like coloring that we have to do. Basically, what I can do in Photoshop is we just flat it and then I add some white color. It's just like a little technique I learned from a comic I read a long time ago. We've talked about it. Uncanny X-Force. The colorist Dean White uses whites to highlight things and to add texture and stuff, and it's a really cool technique. And so it's mostly just that and some shading. So like once the penciling is done and the pages are formatted, Anthony's gonna word balloon it, and then we're gonna tag team coloring it, and it's gonna be done. And then it's the music progression. That's going to be rough. And then I know cutting vinyls takes a long time, so we do want to try to get that. Probably want to get the music done as fast as possible. But it's all going to get done. I plan on having the pages fully penciled by May, end of May. So
And then I'm already working on the word balloons and lettering, so it's coming together. Like it's been a really fun organic process so far. So I'm sure we're going to way beat our August deadline. So,
like, I don't have this. I didn't grow up being a fan of comic books, etc. And I mean, so I think in a way, I just want to thank you guys because, like, for me, this is I feel like a kid, and I'm probably kind of acting about a kid like a kid when I talk about you guys. It's been really fun for me to just, I mean, kind of out of nowhere. It's not like I was looking for a graphic novella to really hang my hopes on, but it's just what you guys have put together has been really enjoyable. It's super exciting to see it come together. I'm so pleased that I finally got you guys on a show so I could corral you guys and talk to you. I've talked about you for a long time, and it's been a real pleasure to talk to you and talk about your project. How can people find you and get in touch with you guys?
Steven.
Take it away, Anthony.
Okay.
Well, you can find us at www.youtube.com. We Have Issues Podcast. We're also on Twitter at
Twitter.com.
Ostrich Colony Co. Yep.
Oh, Ostrich Colony Co. You can. My name is Anthony Lafusi.
It's me.
Kind of like Anthony Fauci, but with a L. But you can find our podcast at twitter.com/We Have Issues Pod. We're also on TikTok at We Have Issues Pod. But mostly youtube.com/We Have Issues Podcast. You'll find us there. We're on Spotify and everywhere, so you can find us everywhere.
Yeah, if you like search in Spotify or iTunes for We Have Issues Podcast, you'll find it. All the episodes, thanks to JD reminding.
Yeah, thank you JD for reminding me every week.
Shout out to JD.
Shout out to JD. I love JD so much. He just went through something and he's recovering. I'm so glad that he's okay. JD, there's one of our friends and fans, JD, has just taken it upon himself to DM me every week and remind me to post the audio because I have so much going on that I forget the audio. I don't mean to. I don't mean to neglect the audio listeners. I love them just as much as everyone else. It's just that I don't hear from them as much. I don't know why. They're just the audio listeners are like a mystery to me. They're like a supernatural. They're Bigfoot. I know they're out there. I want to see a documentary about them. I know they exist. I see the numbers. I know they exist, but I've never heard from even one of them. No one's ever been like, I listen to your podcast. It's always YouTube. So JD is the only person who has ever contacted me and been like, hey, where's the audio? So thank you, JD, for all of that.
That's fascinating. I'm the same way, Anthony. I rarely hear from podcast listeners, but every once in a while, I was on the Fantasy Friendship show. I was telling my Roy Rogers chicken story. I don't know if you guys heard that, but one of the guys that does that show said, "Yeah, I listen on the podcast every day." It's like, oh, really? You're the person. I will say for your show, I prefer watching you on YouTube. I think that's the best way to watch We Have Issues because we get to see the interaction. We get to see the guitar wall. We get to see all the artwork in Anthony's room. It's tremendous. You guys, thank you for giving me time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know how I can help you in any way. I'm a big fan. It's been a thrill.
No, you've already been so amazing to us. Like, you're so incredible.
Yeah, we're so thankful. We've talked about you on our show a few times. We can't thank you enough. We love you so much, and I love your show. I love Tim's show. I love like the podcasting community is just so cool. I recently met the Drunk Theory people, and just like I love this. I love meeting all of you guys, and like you in particular are just so great and kind, and like I just like who you are as a person. So we're so happy to be here, and we really do appreciate you.
Well, thank you, fellas. I'm gonna keep being here.